You're listening to Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions on product and business strategy. And now, here's your host, Bob Caporelli.
Welcome to another episode of Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions on product and business strategy. Real questions from real people in real companies just like yours. So welcome back, strategy creators. We are here to answer another great question. And I have to tell you, I keep saying the same intro over and over again. I probably won't change it, right? We talk about product and business strategy, but we also do cover marketing strategy here. And we're going to try and get more questions on that as we go forward. So if you have any questions on marketing strategy as well, that's definitely a place that we definitely want to go. The company that sponsors the show, which is a company that I own, Strategy Generation Company, we focus our training on product, business, and marketing strategy, and have 3 separate trainings for each one of those different disciplines. So definitely don't want to leave marketing out of the mix. And next week, I have a question that is going to be specific to marketing. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get right to today's question, which I think is really an interesting one, should inspire some good thought process. And that question is, Dear Strategy, how do you know the difference between a poor strategy and a failure in execution? So it definitely makes sense as to why this question exists, right? Because it could be confusing. I mean, if you carried out a strategy and it didn't get you the results that you were looking for, it's incumbent upon you to go back and say, why did that happen, right? Why didn't I achieve what I said I would achieve? And it's natural to think that there's 2 basic places that could have gone wrong. One is that you had the right plan, but you just didn't execute it. Or 2 is that you had the wrong plan. I'll actually add a third one into there, which is that you may have made the wrong assumptions that fed the plan, right? So that goes back to our analysis part. But for now, let's focus on the question, which is these 2 areas of, did I have the right strategy or did I just not execute against it? And so you really want to understand that. Well, if you don't have a good solid plan that you've written down and you've kind of formalized and you've presented and so forth, it's going to be really hard to audit against that. And I would say, unfortunately, it's probably the situation that a lot of companies are in, right? Is that they don't have a formal plan. They know what they want to do and they know generally how they want to do it. But if they don't have that formal plan, then you can't go back and see, did I do what I said I was going to do? And that really comes down to the answer by following the process that we talk about in the show and the process that I teach through, Strategy Generation Company, the training that we offer there. If you follow that process, the reason that process exists is not to be cumbersome, but for this exact reason, so that when you do execute, you can see where the problem was. So, just to kind of reiterate what that process is, and I'm going to focus on the planning cycle. So there's 3 basic cycles, right? Analysis, planning, and execution. But I'm going to focus on the planning cycle for a second. And the reason is because in that plan, you need to lay out exactly what it is that you want to do. And we do this in 3 basic layers, right? The first layer are your goals. So what is it that you're trying to achieve? And I put 2 pieces to that. One is your vision and one are your objectives. So kind of 2 layers to it. But overall, the goals are what you want to achieve. The next one is your options, right? So what options do you have to choose from to actually achieve your goals? But then this next piece, which I'll call our actions, is really where the core and the crux of this question is, because the actions in my process anyway has 2 pieces to it, your strategies and your tactics. And I very clearly put those into this grouping of actions, because a lot of people spend a lot of time thinking about, is there a difference between strategy and action and strategy? And in my world, they are not one and the same, but strategies need to be actionable, right? And tactics need to be actionable as well. So I put them both into the category of actions, but they are definitely 2 different layers, strategies being the more broad initiatives that you want to do, and tactics being the more granular things that you're actually going to do to achieve your goals. So the reason that this is important, by the way, is because by putting these into 2 different layers, this will answer your question. Your initiatives is your overall strategy, right? And your tactics is the things that are the things that you're going to execute against. And by having a real tactical action plan, you're going to be able to see exactly what it is you said you were going to do and exactly if you've done it or not. And if you haven't done it, then you know that the problem is in execution. If you have done it, then you know the problem is in your initiatives, right? And your higher level strategies. So in case you're having trouble visualizing this, and you can go out to strategygeneration.com and you can view the framework there, and this maybe make it a little bit clearer. But if you're having any trouble visualizing it, just picture this grouping of actions as consisting of strategic initiatives, which are the high level broad initiatives, and these tactics, right? The tactical plan that you're going to put in place. And so this will allow you to track where the problem occurred, if a problem does occur. When you think about what strategic initiatives look like, it's usually, 5 big, broad bullet points of what you want to do. And then when you think about a tactical plan, it's many, many, many different things that you'll actually execute against that tie back to your initiatives. So again, those tactical plans will have people associated with them, they'll have time frames, sometimes they have budgets, right? So they're very granular. It's like a project plan, and you know exactly what it is you want to achieve. So if you have this, very well laid out tactical plan and you didn't achieve it, you know that execution is your problem. Again, if you did achieve all of those things, then you can be pretty sure that your strategic initiatives were the problem, because that means that you probably had the wrong strategy in place. And I think that's the way that you would look at this question. Now, one thing I want to also make clear on this answer is that your tactical plan will definitely be dynamic. It changes, just like when you play football or soccer, any sport, right? You have a plan when you go out onto the field, but the minute something starts to happen and you realize, whoa, wait a minute, I got some assumption wrong or whatever else, you have to choose from a different set of actions or change your actions or change your tactics. And so those things are always going to be dynamic, right? And that's by design. So don't be worried about that, right? Don't think that when you put together your tactical plan that it is absolutely set in stone and you can't ever change it. That's absolutely not the case. That's in fact why we develop things in layers, because by having this tactical plan, you can change that more dynamically without having to change your higher level initiatives. But if you find that your tactical plan isn't working at all, then you do have to change your higher level initiatives in order to achieve your goals. And if you find that neither of those things are working, then you might have to change your goals, right? And so that's why this layered approach is really, really important. So, my definitions, again, may be a little bit different than some of the traditional definitions. A lot of people make the words actions and tactics synonymous. I find myself actually falling into that as well. But the reason that I kind of put strategies and tactics into this whole group of actions is because I was really tired of people just putting together initiatives and thinking that those are kind of high level things that we don't actually have to do, right? I want to make sure that people know that strategies have to be actionable and your tactical plan has to be actionable, which is why I put them into the bigger grouping of all being actions. But that's the way that I look at it. So again, how do you know the difference between a poor strategy and a failure in execution? Well, build a very solid plan and a detailed plan that allows you to lay out the initiatives versus the tactics and see where you're going wrong. Again, if you're not achieving your tactics or you're not doing your tactics, then the failure is in execution. If, on the other hand, you're doing all the tactics, but not getting the result, then the failure is probably in the initiatives, and you have to go back and look at those again. So hopefully that's helpful. Again, for all of those listeners, or all you listeners out there who are regular subscribers, thank you so much for being a regular subscriber to the show, a regular listener to the show. And if you are not a subscriber, please go and subscribe to the show. You can do that at just about any of your podcast aggregators of choice. And if you love what you hear, go and leave us a review. That really helps other people to find the show as well. So really, really appreciate if you can do that as well. And in the meantime, go check out our sponsor and my company, strategygeneration.com, where we actually get more detailed into training on this subject. So we hope that you'll go check that out. And of course, go to dearstrategy.net, where you can check out all of these episodes and check out all the blogs that go along with the episodes, as well as ask a question if you're so inclined to do so. And that will make you not only a member of the Strategy Creator community, but an active member of the Strategy Creator community, which is really what we're going for. So as you're doing all that, don't forget to make time for the plan, and we'll see you back here on another episode of Dear Strategy. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for listening to Dear Strategy with Bob Caparelli. To learn more or to submit a question to be featured on our show, please visit us at dearstrategy.net.